It's almost that time. The Switch era is almost finished. On June 5th, 2025, those funeral bells will finally ring. It's been a wild ride for the Switch. We've had some of the best moments and some of the worst moments. But before we say goodbye to it all, I wanted to take one final look at the entire era of the Switch and reflect. By no means is this an entire history of the Switch video, but I do want to bring up key moments in its life and consider them in today's lenses and then look forward into the Switch too. So without further ado, let's reflect on the Nintendo Switch era. First things first, we need to understand the context surrounding the Switch's release. The Wii U was a bad time, and I mean things were really bleak. The Wii U as a console would just barely crack the top 20 Switch game sales. That's how low it sold. I'm happy to say Nintendo learned a hard lesson with the Wii U, because the majority of issues from the Wii U were not repeated during the Switch. Admittedly, the Switch has its own issues, but don't worry, we'll talk about them. Let's look at what the Wii U did wrong that the Switch improved upon. The Wii U had commercials that advertised annoying little kids. A lot of people hated the Wii U commercials because it made it look like a baby toy. And it's not even like the Wii because at least the Wii marketed to the family, not just little kids. Sure, the commercials in the Wii U have families in them, but they're corny and the focus is on the kids doing stuff. This is not how families act. In the Wii commercials, it felt natural, like what a family would do. The Wii U commercials are just fabricated and just, hate looking at them.
Hot button popcorn, that's it!
Shut up!
The Switch improved this by having young adults going about their day and making the Switch look cool. The first ever trailer for the Switch went all in on this idea, having young adults going around, going on airplanes, playing in the car together. It made it look fun and cool. You don't have to make commercials of stupid little kids to get the stupid little kids to play the game. Probably the biggest thing the Switch did better than the Wii U was its library. The Wii U had such a mediocre library of first-party games, and maybe it's because of the gamepad being a big gimmick hurdle, but seriously, so much is lacking. Not a single Metroid game. Zelda had some remasters, but it took until the Switch's release to get a brand new game on the Wii U. And even then, it was on Switch, so no exclusive Wii U Zelda game. Mario got New Super U, and at the time, we were all tired of New Super Mario Bros. And U is probably my least favorite. This is coming from the guy who loves New Super Mario Bros. 2, mind you. But I think New Super Mario Bros. U had some good concepts, like you're not in the Mushroom Kingdom, and the map is interconnected like Super Mario World, but they go about these ideas in the safest, most lame ways possible. If you're gonna do something different, go all in on it, don't play it safe. Anyways, enough about the Wii U. The point is, the Switch learned from both of those things. The commercials and advertisements made the Switch look cool, primarily during the first year, and there were games. Actual good games. Almost every main Nintendo first party got some love on the Switch, even some more deep cuts. I feel like when Nintendo's doing well, they're more willing to experiment. It's like, hey, we're making boatloads of money on these other games. Sure, what the hell? Let's make a new Famicom Detective Club and remake Advance Wars and Thousand Year Door. But it's not just that, the games were really good. Like really, really good. Some of the most critically acclaimed games in their series, take Super Mario Odyssey for example, or New Horizons. They're all games that are some of the best from their series. I have no doubt we'll continue to see some of the best entries on the Switch too. Mario Kart World looks really fun, and Donkey Kong Bonanza looks amazing. And they're still going with these more experimental ideas, and we see that in Kirby Air Riders. I hope they continue taking chances on these more experimental ideas, and what I mean by that is games you wouldn't really expect to get a sequel in the modern era. I always argue with my friends that the Switch has the best library of Nintendo games, period. And hey, I'm willing to argue that in the comments if you disagree, so drop a comment. But even I can't deny it. The Switch library does have a big issue. It's bloated to all hell with Wii U ports. It started off fine, you know. We got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and that was good. Mario Kart 8 was already decent, and it fixed up some of the bad stuff like Battle Mode and turned it into one of the best Mario Karts ever. 2018 we had Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Okay, sure. That game is sort of meant for the gamepad, but it's fine. But then Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze being more expensive on Switch at launch than it was at Wii U at launch? They didn't add any new levels. Nah, just Funky Kong. He's worth $10 more. And we just kept getting more and more Wii U crap. Like, sure, I get it. The Wii U sold 18 consoles, so not many people had a chance to play these good games. And since the Switch wasn't backwards compatible, you had to re-release them if you wanted to play them. But it felt more like Nintendo just used these Wii U entries as an excuse to make money off of the games, and put off making a new entry instead. They went so ballistic on this idea that there's only 7 or so games that are still on the Wii U that weren't replaced by a sequel or a port on the Switch. But most of these games take advantage of the gamepad, making it harder to translate to a single screen like the Switch. And there I was, hoping 8 years would be enough of this porting shit. The Switch 2 is backwards compatible with Switch 1. There can't possibly be a reason to continue. How? How do you possibly fuck this shit up? So let me get this straight. I can play Breath of the Wild on my Switch 2, straight up, no strings attached. The system can run it, but you just decided to release it again? What? So it could run in 60 FPS? Why not just let my original run at 60 FPS? Sony lets their PS4 games use the PS5's extra power. Why do we have to buy another cartridge to see the benefits of our $450 console? It's so weird for Nintendo to do something like this. I mean, they've always been greedy, don't get me wrong, but this is unheard of. Like I said before, you can make the excuse for all the Wii U games on Switch because they quite literally could not physically be played on the Switch. These are the exact same Cheez-Its. They never re-released DS games on the 3DS, they never re-released Wii games on the Wii U, and they never re-released GameCube games on the Wii. Actually, they did. They did re-release GameCube games on the Wii. I guess they have done it before. But at least the new Play controls didn't have horrible box art. What the hell is this? Who said this is okay? It's a paragraph! Was the big 2 up here not enough? I get it, consumers are stupid, but god, these boxes are terrible! Again, I hate to keep bringing them up, but PS5 never had this issue. If there was a PS4 version and a PS5 version, that was it. You knew the difference and you didn't have all this extra crap. It says Nintendo Switch 2 like 4 times on the box. Now, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for Nintendo. I don't think Switch Online is that bad. I know, relax, let me explain. Now I get where the criticism is coming from. When the Switch launched, online was free. You didn't need to pay, and then all of a sudden you needed to pay and the quality didn't change. Yeah, I'll give you that. When it first released, it stunk. You got what, like 15 free NES games as consolation? Big whoop. But over time, they've added a ton more games to the catalog. Now you can play Super Nintendo and Game Boy games too. And more importantly, I think people forget that it's only $20 for a year. A year! Sony makes you pay that in like 3 months. And I get all of these games right off the bat, which, again, is part of the criticism against the Switch Online. People would prefer to own their games. And again, I agree with that. I'm a collector. I like owning my games. But dude, these are NES games. It's not like you're embarking on some one-of-a-kind run that you need to solidify forever. It's fucking Mario 2. The value you get out of spending $20 a year vastly outweighs what you would have been paying on Virtual Console. You'd only be getting like 4 or 5 NES games for $20. But with this, you have almost every single first-party hitter here on the NES, SNES, and most of the Game Boy ones too. Like I said, as time went on, the service only got better. Not because of the quality online, that didn't change, but you just got more out of the package while paying the same price. They released the Nintendo Music app not that long ago that requires online to access. It's not great, but hey, it's high quality Nintendo soundtrack, so I'll take it. And now on the Switch 2, you'll also get Game Chat. So Switch Online is one of those things that started off smelly, but got tolerable as time went on. And I don't think people appreciate that having a paywall online weeds out little kids. Yes, their parents can pay for online, but there's plenty of kids that don't have online on their Switch because there's a paywall. So you, the player, get a better experience from that alone. There's also an upgrade tier that they released in 2021, and I don't know if it's worth $30 more. I don't pay for it. You get N64, Game Boy Advance, even Sega Genesis, and on the Switch too, you'll get GameCube games too. but it has 3 GameCube games at launch. Maybe when they add more GameCube games, I'll consider it, but I think you get enough with the $20 tier. The Switch will also forever have a weird stigma because it was a console that was around during the pandemic. And it really did affect Nintendo. We saw a significant decrease in output from Nintendo themselves. For example, we didn't see a single full traditional Nintendo Direct for the entire year because of the virus. The last one before the virus was September 2019, and we didn't see another one until February 2021. But it's not like they had no games at all. They did one Nintendo Direct Mini, which showcased a couple of games, and they announced some stuff on Twitter, like Paper Mario just got randomly announced one day on Twitter. Who was expecting that? And to fill the void, Nintendo had these Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcases, which was games releasing on Nintendo Switch from partners of Nintendo. So you'd never see a mainline Mario drop here, but that didn't stop people from overhyping them. Yo guys, today we're going to be predicting the July 3rd Nintendo Direct Mini Partner Showcase. I'm predicting a new Smash Bros character. We're going to see Goku finally getting in. I predict a brand new 3D Mario. I predict Mother 3. I actually think the pandemic helped Nintendo in some ways. Take Animal Crossing for example. New Horizons released right around when lockdown started for most people, and it was the perfect game for the time. Everyone was locked inside and the world was going crazy, so what better game to escape from all that than Animal Crossing? Since most people are out of school or working remotely, there was so much free time to just spend in your own little world here. Animal Crossing New Horizons was going to sell well regardless, there's no doubt about that, but I think lockdown sent it way over the edge. Like the second best-selling Nintendo Switch game, it was definitely helped out by lockdown. Because I think in retrospect, a lot of people agree that Horizons, while good, has less replayability than something like New Leaf for example, and it had less to do from the get-go. So since there was a virus rampaging globally and people couldn't meet up physically, things like in-person tournaments just had to move online. And what did Nintendo do to support this solution? They sent out cease and desists. Yeah, a few major online tournaments, primarily Splatoon and Super Smash Bros, were shut down by Nintendo. Look, there was a lot of bad shit going on in the Smash Bros competitive scene at the time, so it was totally within Nintendo's right to distance themselves and not endorse the community. Still, it doesn't make it any better. Nintendo did host their own online tournament, so I guess that counts for something. Even if things were bad in the community, it was still very scummy of Nintendo. But let's get back to a positive note. So let's talk about the Switch itself as a concept. As you may know, the Switch was the last console to have been developed under the leadership of late President Satoru Iwata. It was his final idea for a console, as he served as the console's head developer. In an era that seemed like handheld gaming was dying because of mobile gaming on phones, Iwata shook up the industry one last time, even if it was posthumously, blurring the lines between handheld and home console that were two distinct lines into one hybrid unit. And I think we're kind of spoiled to the novelty of the Switch now because we've had it for so long. But it was genuinely incredible to be playing Wii U games in the car when we had to have a clunky box and disc connected to a TV before. I'm happy to say it worked, because we all know that the Switch was a mega success. Third best-selling console of all time, beating out every other Nintendo console, except for the DS. And even that record may be beat one day. It's not that far off, because the Switch is still topping charts in Japan, even less than a week before the Switch 2 releases. 152 million consoles sold as of this video. That's insanity. The Switch era had its issues, as any console does, but nobody can deny it was a success. I hope the Switch 2 is successful too. But I think many people have less than great expectations for it, understandably so. Hopefully we come back to this video and say we were worrying about nothing, but with $80 games that should be free pack-in titles being $20, a console that feels too expensive, it's not hard to have a pessimistic outlook for the future, but I don't know how things are gonna go. I like to remain optimistic, but some things are just so hard to predict when it comes to Nintendo. To close off, I'll miss the Switch. It was a good console. It was a great console even. We forget how great it was to finally have a good Nintendo console after all the suffering we had with the Wii U. I've had some of the best Nintendo, hell, some of the best gaming memories I'll ever have on the Switch. Let's hope the Switch 2 can keep the ball rolling.